bawat isa. And also Happy Father's Day, no, sa lahat ng father na dito ngayon. Alright, so just to check. Okay, dito lang dito. Alright, thank you. Salamat sa Panginoon. We'll try to check. Okay, praise God. Okay mga kapatid, since ngayon kinukonsider ang month ngayon ng maraming mga tao as the Pride Month, no? So, I think naaangkop na pag-aaralan natin yung kanilang ideology. In the past year, I believe we had the series on the LGBTQ, homosexuality, na pag-aaralan natin pati yung mga some philosophical dimensions, no? Naaral natin last time during my series, if my memory serves me right. Pero may isa pang hindi natin na tackle particularly, which is itong tinatawag ngayon, no, na transgenderism. Okay? Transgenderism. So, just to let you know na itong lesson na ituturo ko, itong lecture about the history of transgenderism, ayokong kumuha ng credit, no, na sa aking sarili, but I want to give the credit to this book that I read, no. His labors have helped me to understand the history of transgenderism, and that is J. Alan Branch. And by far, itong libro na ito yung pinaka-comprehensive. If you want to study about the medical side or the history of transgenderism, this would be the book, no? So, a huge chunk of the lecture coming from this very book of J. Alan Branch, no? So, nagdagdag lang ako ng additional na konti. Alright? So, to begin with, no? Ang Pilipinas, mga kapatid, sa ngayon, sa 2024 survey, ito na yung kinonsider na third country which has the highest number of people identified as transgender. Okay? According to World Population Review, datos sa 2024, we're waiting for the datos of 2026. Okay? Sabi dito, ang number one is ang US, no? Followed by Brazil, and then the next in line, the third one, is the Philippines with 317,000 transgender population. Ganon karami ang transgender dito sa Pilipinas. Now, as Philippines, country itong Pilipinas that takes the traditional values as norm, right? Norm sa Pilipinas na itong male and female talaga, itong gender binary, heteronormativity. Ito yung standard talaga ng Pilipinas, no? Kaya marami mga LGBTQ+, mga kapatid, think na itong gender binary, itong male and female, yung norm ng pagiging heterosexual, para sa kanila, it could result to giving possible stigma, discrimination, and violation sa kanila na mga hindi identified doon sa male and female. Okay? And kaya ang SOGI bill, mga kapatid, no? Kung mapapansin nyo, ang SOGI bill has been refiled. Ilang beses na lang ni-refile yung SOGI bill for over 2 decades na. From the 11th Congress up to the 20th Congress 2025 recently, no? Ni-refile nila ulit. At itong SOGI Bill 101 na libro, published by the University of the Philippines, sinasabi dito na ang springboard daw, kasi itong culture natin na binary lang male and female, para sa kanila oppressive ito eh. Okay? Para ma-end daw yung injustice and inequality, kailangan ng SOGI SC Bill. Para mapangalagaan at maprotektahan yung mga gender, people who identified as LGBTQ+, or yung ibang mga transgender. It will become favorable at most likely dahil sa bill na yan, posibleng maging norm na siya sa Pilipinas na accepting sa mga other people who identified as LGBTQ+, no? So, sinabi niya dito na springboard daw yung SOGI bill. Now, anong punto na gusto kong iparating sa bawat isa? Since nakikita natin na ang transgenderism's acceptance is gradually increasing na at parami sila ng parami, no? At pinapakita sa mga media platform na sila ino-oppress, kawawa sila, may sarili din naman silang identity na kailangan i-express, no? So dapat tanggapin ng tao. Di ba? Nakita natin na growing na yung acceptance even sa Facebook, pero meron pa din mga bashers. Marami pa din mga nagbabash sa kanila. So anong gagawin ngayon ng mga Kristiyano? Christians must be careful to evaluate its historic origins. Saan ba ito nanggaling itong idea ng transgenderism? Kasi marami sa atin na bigla lang, no, sa history, biglang naging normal lang. Parang marami ng transgender, right? So, i-survey natin ano yung historic origin nito. Maybe in our part 2, titingnan natin yung philosophical foundations, no? Kasi ang lahat ng mga movement, umiiral yan at tumatakbo dahil sa ideas behind or sa philosophy. At gustong-gusto ko na sanang ituro itong philosophical foundation kasi maraming beses ko na itong na-lecture sa conference pero limited tayo ng time. Okay? Sa next na lang yan. So, careful tayo at titingnan natin yung ethical implications in light of the scriptures. That's how we evaluate itong mga phenomenon na nakikita natin in the world, in the fallen world where we lived in. So, alam niyo ba mga kapatid, no? Before the modern times, before the 18th to 19th century, yung transgenderism parang already present na in some way, no? Sa Greek or Roman culture, meron na silang similar practice sa time na yon, and that is the cult of Cybele, no? So anong meron dito? That is in 204 BC. So itong si Cybele, mga kapatid, was a goddess and the great Phrygian mother of the gods. Meron po ito siyang mga pare. Ang kanyang mga pare, tinatawag na the Galay priests. Oh, I don't know if it's Gali or Galay priest. Ang ginagawa ng mga priest na ito, nagsusuot sila ng mga women's clothing, nagwe-wear sila ng makeup, parang babae, and offered worship, sinasamba nila itong si Cybele in what way? In a manner similar to what is being done to transgender people in modern time. Kinakastrate nila yung kanilang sexual organ, no? Sabi dito, the rites also involve ritual mutilation, ranging from flagellation to the act of self-castration performed by the Galay priest. So, anong ginagawa nila dito? So, men who wanted to become servants of Cybele worked themselves into a frenzy and slashed their testicles with piece of broken glass or flint. So, tinatanggal nila, kinakastrate nila. Parang gumagawa sila ng surgery. So, castrating themselves in a painful fit, emotional hysteria while dancing to their god, which is Cybele, mga kapatid, no? So, what they're actually doing is that the Galay priests consecrated themselves to Cybele by sacrificing their manhood to their gods. Okay? So, may distinction itong cultic na transgender-like activity, okay? Sa modern transgenderism. Kasi ginagawa ito ng mga pare nung time nila, hindi dahil meron silang pagdududa na parang hindi ako lalaki. Parang babae ako na natrap sa lalaking katawan. Hindi ganun yung kanilang nararamdaman. Lalaki sila, literal, at saka yung feeling nila, literal sila na lalaki. Pero yung motibo nila, they did those things, no, as a form of their worship. Gusto nilang sambahin ng kanilang Diyos-Diyosan. And in fact, nakakuha tayo ng hint dito sa Romans 1:24, no? Dahil ayaw nilang i-worship si Lord, gumawa sila, nag-result ito sa sexual immorality, no? And this is one of the examples, no, na sinasabi sa Romans 1. Okay? Now, unlike ngayon, ang mga transgender ngayon, no, na mayroon talaga silang gender reassignment surgery, ang reason nila kung bakit nag-undergo sila ng surgery na yan, gender-affirming surgery, is dahil meron silang tinatawag na gender dysphoria. Okay? Siguro bago sa pandinig ng ilan, no, ang gender dysphoria, pero marami sa inyo, perhaps, no, na familiar na dito. Yung gender dysphoria, para siyang discomfort, yung pagkabalisa na nararamdaman ng isang tao related to incongruence between a person's gender identity and sex assigned at birth. Kumbaga, yung nararamdaman niya as a person, yung kanyang sexual orientation, yung sexual desire niya, sexual drive niya, iba sa kanyang sexual organs. Hindi nag-align yung brain niya tsaka yung kanyang sexual organ. So that's what we call gender dysphoria, and we will talk more about it later on. So the fact be told, transgenderism in its undeveloped phase, kasi wala pa silang mga technology, no, was already present in ancient times. But it expressed itself in a different, mature form and different motive or purpose as it is today. Right? Kasi if ang scientific technology nag-boom pa sa panahon nila, they would do the same thing as what is being done in our time. Alright? Now, kailan ba ito talaga? So, people barter their gender identity as an offering to their idol deity. So, ano bang sinabi ng scripture? Malinaw sa Bible, no? Na ang nilikha, sino ba talaga dapat pagtakda sa gender ng tao? Ikaw, ang culture, o ang creator mo, no? The Bible makes it clear that God created man in His own image, and kasabay sa paglikha niya ng tao, pati yung gender ng tao, male and female, He created them. At nung nilikha ang tao ng Diyos, hindi niya nilikha na randomly, na wala siyang purpose, no? He created all things by Himself and for Himself. That is for His own glory. So, kontra ito sa Bible, itong sinasabi dito itong pinapractice ng transgenderism. At isa pa, gender is not ours to offer. Ba't sila mag-o-offer ng kanilang manhood, womanhood? Is it theirs? It is not ours to offer. It is something that we receive from and designed by our Creator. Okay? So, hindi natin pwedeng i-offer yan. Maging babae ako, i-offer ko yung pagkababae ko sa Diyos. So, hindi ganon. Now, alam niyo ba mga kapatid, in previous centuries and previous years, ang buong kasaysayan natin, yung hierarchical at struktura ng ating Western culture, mga kapatid, from its Greco-Roman, nakabase ito sa Christian virtue, sa Christian philosophy, ang buong Western culture. Pero may biglang nangyari during the 19th century. Yung tide sa 19th century tends to abolish the Christian values as honored by the previous societies. May nagbago sa 19th century, mga kapatid, no? Between God and then, so pag dumating ito, tinatawag na, parang masabi natin, no, ito yung kauna-unahang nagpasimuno sa gender reassignment surgery. He is very known. Kumbaga, ito yung Jose Rizal ng mga transgender people, no? His name is Magnus Hirschfeld, no? So, ito si Magnus Hirschfeld, he was a gay German physician. Okay? So, parang bakla, no? Bakla talaga siya as he identify himself. Siya yung pinaka-most credited sa transgender movement. He was an advocate for sexual liberation from traditional values. So, gusto niya ma-liberate ang tao doon sa category na binary, na male and female lang. Walang ibang identity kundi either male or female. Ang magpakasal, male and female lang. That's the traditional values, right? Na gusto niyang i-liberate ang sangkatauhan sa ganong kaisipan, no? So, ano yung mga ginawa nitong si Magnus Hirschfeld? Dito na siya nagsimulang mag-imbento ng mga term, no? May mga inintroduce na sa ating dictionary later on, transvestites, no? Ibig sabihin dito yung mga cross-dresser. Merong iba na lalaki talaga sila, straight sila, pero may liking talaga sila sa cross-dressing sa opposite sex. So, tinatawag niya yung mga transvestites. No? Kaya acceptable na yan sa dictionary ngayon. Siya nag-coin niya, no? Meron ding ibang transsexual, no? Na ang kanilang identity iba sa kanilang sex. So, na-introduce na yun. No? Walang term ganon before, ha? So, siya ang nag-introduce niyan, mga kapatid. At siya yung pioneer ng LGBTQ plus studies. So, lahat ng mga research related sa LGBTQ looks into his work, which is The Transvestites. No? Yan yung libro na kanyang sinulat. I think that's 3 volumes. Isang volume lang yung nabasa ko ng konti, mga kapatid, sa kanyang sulat. So, what we have here, di ba may nangyaring pag-boom ng mga LGBTQ plus noong 1960s, which we call the sexual revolution, na nag-revolutionize talaga yung feminism, LGBTQ plus noong 1960s. They all from his work, no? Nga the transvestites. Now, ano ba yung mga claims niya ni Magnus Hirschfeld? Okay? So, it's good na malaman natin ano yung mga basic claims niya. So, this is his basic claims, no? Every human being is a mixture of masculine and feminine substance. Okay? So, many medical experts during his time considered talaga ng medical community sa time nila na itong same-sex attraction, pathological condition ito, disorder ito ng tao. May problema dito sa pag-iisip, no? But Magnus Hirschfeld, sinabi niya na hindi totoo yan, no? Mali yung sinasabi na yan, no? Hirschfeld opposed this idea and asserted na ang lahat ng sexual orientations are natural. Hindi daw yan disorder. Kasi naniniwala siya na inborn yan. Nasa womb ka pa lang ng iyong mga magulang, yung same-sex attraction mo, nag-start na doon. No? Yun yung claim niya. At atin niyang i-observe later. At sinabi niya, every human being is a mixture of masculine and feminine substance. Kumbaga, hindi siya either lalaki ka or babae ka. Parang dalawang separate trajectory, no? Either lalaki ka or babae ka. Sa kanya, hindi daw yan totoo. Ang human person talaga daw is a combination of both feminine and masculine. Okay? May level ka ng pagka-babae, may certain level ang personality mo ng pagkalalaki. So in other words, yun yung mag-resulta. Pag nag-combine yan, nag-merge yung level of masculine and level of feminine, monism of sexes, which means they exist in constant merging of both one. Kaya wrong na sabihin na ang tamang gender daw male and female. Kasi, possible may dominant na pagkababae, may dominant na pagka-lalaki. Combination, no? Sa kanyang pagtingin. Kaya sabi niya, the human is not either man or woman. Hindi. No? Hindi ganun yung paningin niya. Human is rather man and woman. So, combination, mga kapatid, no? Hindi walang binary, no? It's a combination. Now, ngayon, paano niya papatunayan yan? So, parang ganito siya, mga kapatid, no? Totoo yan, yung human embryo. Diba? Alam natin yung human embryo. Wala pa naman yung gender, no? Nung first and second month, right? Kaya, nagpapacheck tayo, 5th month. Okay? So, para sa kanya, parang yung human embryo, may dalawang pathway yan na papuntahan, no? Either an absolute male or absolute female. Pero may mga cases na matruncated daw yan, kaya merong ganitong spectrum, no? So, yung mga spectrum na yan, that is what is in between the cisgender. Yung cisgender, yung binary, no? Either male or female, heterosexual. Meron pa diyang mga iba't ibang, meron pa kang omnigender dyan eh, no? Pag sinabing omnigender, lahat ng gender meron siya, no? Omni, meron. Mayroong bigender, iba't ibang gender. And guess what? Gaano ba ito karami, itong spectrum na to in between sa male and female? Alam niyo ba gaano karami? Magnus Hirschfeld himself, sabi niya, the number of actual and imaginable sexual varieties is almost unending, no? Some says may mga certain millions of varieties, no? Pero sa kanya unending, no? So napakarami in between man and woman, sobrang daming mga gender, no? Na pwede mong i-identify ang iyong sarili. So, he's coming, ito book niya ito, mga kapatid. Sabi niya, but it is a mistake if one imagines that both are two fully separate entities. Kinukontra niya na separate entities ang man and woman, no? Sabi niya, to the contrary, the constantly present merging of both into one, the unending condition of mixing variables that begins with man's semen and the woman's egg, each creating masculine, feminine, hermaphroditic organization. So, meron talaga daw hermaphrodite dahil combination siya ng masculine substance and feminine substance. May iba na dominant itong feminine, may iba na lesser lang yung feminine niya, may iba din talaga na equal, no? Equal yung kanilang substance, no? So, that's what is the belief of Magnus Hirschfeld. Number 2, so may 4 categories, tinatawag niya itong intermediary traits, na nagmamanifest yung pagiging man and woman ng isang tao. So, for example, yung sexual organs, no? Mapapansin mo na may ibang klaseng organ yung babae na parang, I think one example is Jennifer Kagandahan, no? Against the, di ba nasa, ano yan, Senate yan, si Jennifer Kagandahan, pinanganak si Jennifer Kagandahan na parang babae yata siya, X and Y chromosome. Pero meron si Jennifer Kagandahan, meron siyang tumubo sa kanya na parang lalaki, na panglalaki na organ. Ngayon, nalito na ang ano, dahil sa kanyang karamdaman, nag-decide ang Supreme Court na tanggapin kung ano yung gusto niya na identity. Kaya, napalitan na pangalan ni Jennifer Kagandahan into Jeff, di naman kapugian, no? But kagandahan. So, masi-search yan sa Google, no? So, isa yan sa mga examples daw, no? Another thing is yung hair growth natin, voice timbre, ang hip natin. Merong iba na kahit lalaki ka, pang babae yung ano mo, yung structure ng katawan mo. May iba din na lalaking lalaki pero yung sex drive niya pang babae. Proof daw yun, mga kapatid, no? Na ang tao is in constant merging of feminine and masculine. So ngayon, ang mga transgender nagbabasa sa ganito, na-reinforce sila, right? No? Ganda pala nito, no? This supports our thinking about what is really a human being. So, an ending, napakarami, no? Napakarami ng combinations sa spectrum, mga kapatid, sinabi na niya yan. Now, ngayon, assertion number 3, okay, ito, linawin ko to. Nasabi ko to kanina. He observed first that itong human embryo, yun yung sinabi ko kanina, di ba? First, sexually undifferentiated. First to third month, wala pa siyang sex talaga yung human embryo. Right? Pero, then the process of differentiations began to take place in the subsequent months, right? Papunta yung trajectory niya either dito sa absolute male or absolute female. Kaso, may panahon na nagiging hermaphrodite because the developmental process truncated, napigilan, may inhibition na nangyari or something like that, no? Na nagresulta na magiging equal yung level of feminine and masculine substance sa kanya. Alright? So, yan yung assertion niya. Sinabi niya dito, kasi sa era nila mga kapatid, no? Pag merong, for example, lalaki ka, tapos sabi mo, may babae yung feelings mo. Sa kanila, ini-educate sa time nila eh. Ini-educate, tinuturuan, kina-counsel, sina-psychotherapy sa panahon nila. Pero sabi ni Magnus Hirschfeld, even if there is an internal or external influencing, inhibiting and encouraging will access to education, practice and suggestion, kahit ano pang gawing bagay mo para mabago yung isang transgender na yan, no? Kahit anong control ang gagamitin mo, hindi yan magbabago. Why? Because it is formed in advance by nature. No? Kumbaga tinitingnan ni Magnus Hirschfeld na inborn yan. Hermaphrodite yan mula pa lang sa pasimula, doon pa lang sa kanyang kapananganakan. And before it is awakened, forces its way into awareness and development. Kahit palagyan mo ng maraming lalaki ang environment niyan, kasi inborn. Diba? So, kaya yung paniniwala niya, no, about sa transgenderism. So, criticism dito sa kanyang mga claims kasi these are extraordinary claims, no? So, pero many medical experts, however, say na itong gender dysphoria, yung pagkakaroon ng pagkabalisa, nagdududa ka sa real gender mo, or itong gender incongruence usually disappears once a child gets past to the adult phase. Momentary lang talaga yung mga ganon. May mga time, no? Hindi lahat ng panahon, pero maraming times na magkakaroon talaga ang bata papuntang adolescence. At sinabi yan mismo ng kalaban ni Hirschfeld, no? Na si Moll sa The Sexual Life of a Child na libro niya. Okay? Ngayon, maraming experts na nagsasabi na ganon. Now, here's the thing. So, si Mark A. Yarhouse, Understanding Gender Dysphoria, sabi niya dito, research-based ito mga kapatid. I love this book. Most cases of gender incongruence in childhood resolved by the time that child reaches the adolescence or adulthood. Maraming cases na ganyan, no? Now, ngayon, ganito yung mangyayari mga kapatid, no? Another research base sa Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, not really research base pero authority ito na sa marami. 70% of the cases na mga lalaki na nagkaroon ng gender dysphoria, nawala yung dysphoria nila in later years. Only 2.2%, 30 ang nag-persist. So, maraming mga lalaki naka-experience ng gender dysphoria na nawala lang, 70%. Okay? Another thing, for female, babae, 12% to 50 ang may cases na nag-persist. So marami talagang number Ang hindi, nawala lang talaga siya yung gender dysphoria niya, yung pagdududa niya sa sarili niya na babae o lalaki siya. Okay? So, ang point dito na gusto kong get across sa inyo mga kapatid, since gender dysphoria can be ephemeral, meaning to say, temporary, passing lang siya, no? It can be like that, right? It is unwise to navigate the life of the child after the pathway of transgenderism. So ngayon, ang mangyayari, no? Sa ibang bansa, ganito yung nangyayari. No, napansin nila na parang may dysphoria ang bata, lalaki ka, gusto mo mapababae. I-reinforce, sige, magpakababae ka. Gusto mo gender reassignment surgery, gawin natin. And that's what happened sa story about kay John Money. Isang bata, maliit, inapplyan nila ng gender reassignment surgery. Ang bata later on, pinalabas nila sa news na mas masaya ang bata, is enjoying his well-being, pero the truth behind is that ang bata ay sobrang nag-regret kasi passing nga lang yun. No? And what happened? Bumalik siya sa original niya na gender. Nabuhay siya kung ano siya originally. Kahit iba na ang kanyang sexual organ na nabago na. So, delikado, no? Delikado siya kung i-apply siya sa ating culture. At pag nakita may gender dysphoria, i-ano agad, no? So, next. So, si Hirschfeld, siya yung kauna-unahan mga kapatid na nagtayo, no? Ng Hirschfeld Institute, kung saan ang kauna-unahang gender reassignment surgery ay nangyari sa kasaysayan, no? And that the first one, no, itong si Dora. His name first is Rodolph, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Diyo mahina ako sa pronunciation. Rodolph Richter yata, no? So, in 1891 to 1933, this person, nagtatrabaho talaga siya sa institute na ito. Okay? And adopted later on the name Dora. So, nagpalit siya ng pangalan into Dora. In 1922, he was castrated. Nag-undergo siya ng orchiectomy and decided to have his surgeons amputate his penis. O, nag-undergo siya ng penectomy. So, this is complete, no? Penectomy ang kanyang in-undergo. To obtain, pagkatapos yan, nag-undergo siya ng vaginoplasty. Nagkaroon siya ng artificial vagina. Now, ngayon, ang mga LGBTQ community, including the transgender community, tinitingnan nila na ito yung success. Kasi hindi ito namatay. Pero, paano siya namatay? Wala na. Hindi natin alam sa kasaysayan, no? Posibleng pinatay siya ni Hitler kasi inatake itong kanilang institute, no? Pero may isa na namatay talaga dahil sa gender reassignment surgery, dahil sa post-complication, and that is Einar Wegener. So, Dutch artist siya. He was married with Gerda Gottlieb. He later on identified himself as the Lily LB. You know, siya si Lily LB, mga kapatid. 5 surgeries ang kanyang dinaanan, no? In the hope that she would become a woman. The last surgery was a uterus transplant which engendered fatal complications resulting to his death. Namatay itong ginawang experiment sa gender reassignment surgery. So kung ang GRS harmful, damaging sa tao, then ang commandment ng Panginoon, no, na thou shalt not kill, if we live with that principle, we cannot support that particular surgery, no? And we will talk more about that later on in a biblical perspective. This is number 2, no? Ang pangalawa, ang Charybdis. Kung merong Skyla, merong Charybdis din dito. The great follower of Magnus Hirschfeld, Harry Benjamin. So, itong isa to sa pinaka big time sa sexual revolution, no? Na quoted ang kanyang libros na maraming mga LGBTQ at transgender. So, German-American endocrinologist siya, and prominent siya sa kanyang work of giving care to the transsexuals. And he was considered as the founding father of Western transsexualism. Okay? Acquaintance siya ni Magnus Hirschfeld. In 1966, he published his most influential work, The Transsexual Phenomenon. So, kung bakit nag-boom talaga yung sexual revolution during 1960s, isa itong libro niya sa nag-contribute nun, no? At alam nyo ba, dati walang distinction yung gender and sex eh. Maraming nag-attribute niyan kay Michel Foucault and whatnot. Pero siya yung nag-differentiate talaga na naging malinaw. Para sa kanya, may kaibahan ang gender and sex, no? Kasi para sa kanya, ang gender is above. Ang sex, below the belt. Kumbaga, sexual organ mo, yan yung sex. Sex mo. Pero yung gender, it's above. Meaning to say, yun yung psychological. Yan yung thinking mo. Yan yung how you identify yourself. Later all, social and cultural construct na lang yung gender, di ba? And how a person identifies himself. So you can be a woman depending on how you view yourself. How you think about yourself, no? Kaya para sa iba, bawal magsabi anong gender ng bata because hahayaan mo lang ang bata na magsabi. No, you cannot say, it's a boy, no? Para sa kanila, that's oppressive, no? Kasi parang ini-impose mo na yung gender sa bata. Iba yung sex eh. Iba yung gender eh. So, palakihin mo muna siya, no? And then later on. So, yun yung thinking nila, na which is, I think, very absurd. So, assertion number 1 niya, para kay Harry Benjamin, na follower ni Magnus Hirschfeld, ang psychotherapy daw, kasi nung time nila, pag ikaw sinasabi mo babae ka pero lalaki yung pangangatawan mo, lalaki yung sexual organ mo, tingin ng mga tao sa iyo before, may sira ka sa pag-iisip. Kailangan mo ng counseling, kailangan mo ng magpatingin ka sa doktor. Pero sinasabi niya na psychotherapy cannot cure transgenderism. Kaya nonsense at false errand yung ginagawa daw na pagbigay ng counseling sa mga may transgender na bent. And ito yung sabi niya sa kanyang librong The Transsexual Phenomenon, na halungkat ko, psychotherapy with the aim of curing transsexualism so that the patient will accept himself as a man, it must be repeated here. Sabi niya, it is a useless undertaking with present available methods. Sabi niya, the mind of the transsexual cannot be changed in its false gender orientation. All attempts to this effect have failed. Okay? So, hindi siya naniniwala doon. Hindi mababago ang pag-iisip ng transsexual. Pero in our modern time, marami ng researches ngayon na marami ang nag-regret at gustong bumalik sa normal nila na gender. So, fallacy itong sinasabi niya, no? Walang proof na solid. Number 2, kailangan baguhin ang body. So, huwag baguhin ang mind, baguhin ang katawan para mag-agree sa mind. Alright? Kasi ang gender, depende yan sa gusto ng tao. How he identifies himself. Ano yung tingin niya sa sarili. So, wag baguhin ang mind. Just keep it as it is. Baguhin natin yung kanyang sexual organ. I-undergo natin siya ng gender reassignment surgery. Para ang katawan mag-agree na sa mind. Okay? So, sabi niya, since it is evident, therefore, that the mind of the transsexual cannot be adjusted to the body. Evident para sa kanya ito, no? It is logical and justifiable to attempt the opposite. Baliktarin natin. I-adjust natin yung katawan para sa mind. Alright? To adjust the body to the mind. And sinabi din niya sa kanyang claim na gender reassignment surgery, pag ang isa daw transsexual, nag-undergo siya, male transitioning to female or female transitioning to male, it makes the life of that person even better sa kanyang paningin, no? Kumbaga, nag-improve yung well-being ng isang tao pag nag-undergo ng surgery. Sabi niya, conclusion niya ito sa libro niya, mga kapatid, no? My observations have forced upon me the conclusion that most patients, at least sinabi niyang most, no? At least may addition siya na hindi lahat, no? Most patients operated upon, no matter how disturbed they still may be, are better off afterwards than they were before. Some subjectively, some objectively, some both ways. I have become convinced from what I have seen that a miserable, unhappy male transsexual can, with the help of surgery and endocrinology, attain a happier future as woman. Yan yung kanyang claim. Sumunod itong pangatlo, short na lang to, si John Manning. Yun yung sinabi ko sa kanina na may isang bata na si David Reimer na isang baby boy, yung penis niya mutilated in a botched circumcision. Manning advised the parents to have the boy castrated and raised as a girl named Brenda. Nag-create siya ng false reports na na-expose talaga siya, mga kapatid, no? Nasabi niya, masaya itong si Brenda. Na-enjoy niya yung bagong identity niya, pero it is a false narrative and people believe it hook, line, and sinker. Pero nag-transition ang bata pabalik sa kanyang original kasi hindi siya happy sa nangyari sa kanya. Okay? So, Manny's counseling and therapeutic method, imagine mo, in-apply sa bata, no? Was damaging to the well-being of the children and of the people. Now, kung itong ideology na ito maging accepted na ito sa culture natin, darating ang panahon na ikaw, wala ka ng right as parents na magsabi kung anong gender ng anak mo. And imbis ikaw ay guardian ng anak mo, pwede pang madala yung anak mo sa kapahamakan dahil sa ganitong kaisipan, no? Medical itong mga kapatid, no? Mga medical expert itong mga taong to. Pero there's important things to know about gender reassignment surgery. Okay? Kasi parang gusto nila itong gawin no? So, let's look at ano yung problem nitong gender reassignment surgery. Gender reassignment surgery, three things, does not actually change your gender or sex. Number two, it is irreversible. Sorry about that, no? Irreversible, no? Hindi siya reversible. It is not reversible. Tama pala. It is associated with negative, harmful outcome. So, titingnan natin line by line, no? Sorry. Okay. It does not change your gender. Pakakala ng iba, no, na pag nag-undergo ng JRS, nabago na yung gender and sex ko. Pero, a male transitioning to female, hindi ka pa rin mag-ovulate, no? Hindi ka magme-menstruate, let alone give birth to a child. Walang nangyari na ganyan sa kasaysayan. At hindi nababago yung genetics mo. It is still the same. XX chromosome ka pa din, no? Hindi pwedeng ilagay ang Y sa'yo kahit ano pang surgery na gagawin sa'yo. Hindi pwedeng mangyari yon, no? So, in other words, para ka lang nagpaputol ng sexual organ. Walang changes talaga nangyari sa'yo kung ano ka from during sa birth mo. A female transitioning to male, hindi ka pa din magpo-produce ng sperm. You will not have a male reproductive organ and cannot have a Y chromosome, no? Which is specific to male. So it does not change your gender at all on an essential level. At inadmit nila pala ito, mga kapatid, no? They admitted it. Sabi dito, complete gender reassignment or the comprehensive transformation of one sex to the opposite is impossible. Thank you for admission. Harry Benjamin, inadmit din niya, no? These persons people wanting a sex change in a strictly scientific sense fool themselves. No actual change of sex is ever possible. So kahit GRS ka pa, no, gender reassignment surgery, it doesn't change the original design of God kung ano ka mula nung ikay pinanganak, no? You're still what you are nung pinanganak ka. Number 2, sorry, dito pala ako nagkamali, no? It is not reversible. Hindi siya sige, GRS ako, babalik na lang ako ulit sa kung ano ako dati. Hindi ganoon. Hindi na ma-reverse yon, mga kapatid. Ganyan siya ka delikado, especially kung passing lang yung gender dysphoria mo, no? Anong sinabi dito? Sorry. A male testes cannot be manufactured. Okay? Yung part ng sexual organ mo na nagpo-produce ng sperm, hindi yun ma-manufacture. Once tinanggal mo yun, hindi na yun ma-manufacture or reconstructed. Much less yung female ovaries and uterus. So, hindi siya ma-reverse. Pag nagkamali ka, hindi ka na makakabalik. At lastly, no? It is associated with harmful outcomes. And well substantiated ito. Ang dami kong quotation pwedeng ilagay dito sa danger niya, mga kapatid, no? Sobrang dami. This study found substantially higher rates of overall mortality, death from cardiovascular disease and suicide attempts and psychiatric hospitalizations. Yung mental illness lumalabas, maraming mga harmful impact dito. I think yung book na When Harry Becomes Sally na libro, maraming examples doon ng mga nag-regret, mga kapatid, no? Na meron talaga silang survey doon na ginawa. Post-surgical complications, by far the most devastating complication of male transitioning to female surgery for the patients, nagkaroon sila ng rectal fistula. The development of rectal fistula into the neovagina, finding accurate problematic, dangerous, mga kapatid. So anong biblical critique natin? Itong nagpo-push sa ganitong idea at ganitong mga aktibidades, no? Ganitong phenomenon, may faulty understanding sila sa gender because they did not start with their understanding sa Diyos, no? Hindi sila nag-start kay God eh. Kasi kung si Lord pa yung primary presupposition nila, alam nila na ang may prerogative, ang may absolute right to determine what is your gender is your maker and your creator, no? Ito yung problema ng tao without the special revelation of God. Tingnan natin yung mga ginawa actions ng tao. It grows worse. Worse ng worse ang tao if hindi nagsasubmit sa salita ng Panginoon. Number 2, faulty understanding between the relationship of the soul and body. Dinadichotomize. Di ang mahalaga yung inner you. Yung body mo, adjustin natin yan, no? Parang damit lang yung body, right? Dinidishonor yung body, mga kapatid. Yun yung implications talaga dito. Pero ang tao is one unit siya. Yung body at soul niya, essential aspect siya ng humanity mo, no? Kaya hindi mo pwede baguhin ko yung body ko in favor of my inner personality or my soul. Hindi po possible yun, no? Huwag i-dishonor yung body. At ang ginagawa ngayon sa gender reassignment surgery, nakikita natin, dishonoring the body, no? Na binigay ng Diyos. At faulty understanding of the body being the temple of God. Temple ng Diyos ang katawan ng tao. Holy ang body, no? Kaya sinasabi nga psychosomatic unity daw yung body at saka yung soul at spirit eh. Kasi what you do in your spirit or soul affects your body. And what you do with your body affects your soul and spirit. Kasi psychosomatic unity yan. Isa yan sila, mga kapatid, no? Faulty understanding of the fall and the consequence of sin. Kaya may mga gender dysphoria. Impact ito ng kasalanan na pumasok, mga kapatid. Kaya meron tayo mga disorder, pathological condition sa ating pangangatawan, no? At ang solusyon dito, hindi ito solusyon na sasabihin mong normal yung bagay na yan, no? Ang taong may ganong condition, may pathological condition na gender dysphoria, i-guide sila dapat sa tunay na knowledge na bakit may ganyan, because merong pagbagsak ng tao na nangyari, pero may hope para dyan, which is the gospel, which powerful means para baguhin ng tao. And they spot the problem, but they were not able to provide the right solution. And the right solution is found in the Holy Writ, in the Bible, mga kapatid. Our body and our gender, the body is integral to our humanity. Brother Jess, how about yung pag namatay ka, nag-corrupt yung body mo, yung spirit mo nandun sa langit. Bakit umiiral pa din yun kahit wala ang body? Di ba? Oo, pero kung ano yung identity ng body mo while you're on earth, that's still you. Pag nandun ka, bibigyan ka pala ng glorified body, i-redeem pa yung body mo eh. Pero kaya hindi sila complete yung happiness mo pag nandun ka sa heaven. Spirit and soul ka lang doon. Nag-aantay ka sa resurrection body. Right? Kasi yan yung completion ng pagkatao mo. Body. Embodied human being tayo. No? At no wonder, si Paul, he interchangeably used the pronoun and body in 1 Corinthians 6. The point, human body is organically tied to the human person. We can't separate the real you from the embodied you. Okay? And the gospel tells us that Christ did not only save our soul and spirit, but also our body. So kung isa-save niya yung body natin, we ought to honor it because dahil din sa ating body, we were able to worship God, no? Present your body as a holy sacrifice, right? Let us honor our body because God honors it and will make it glorious someday. At kung ikaw meron kang may karamdaman ka na gender dysphoria na tinatago mo lang, no? You can be open about it. At ang cure talaga niyan is ang gospel. Ang gospel. At magkaroon ka ng hope na although our body is greatly affected by the fall, meron tayo mga problema sa ating katawan, meron mga disorder, take comfort in the gospel that one day He will heal your broken bodies. Kaya yung mga may gender dysphoria na araw-araw, Kristiyano sila na tunay, no? Nakikipaglaban sila sa kasalanan. Pagdating sa panahon na bibigyan na sila ng glorified body, di ko ma-explain kung gaano sila ka-joyful kasi buong buhay nila nakikipaglaban sila doon. It's a noble calling na mag-stand ka kung anong binigay sa Diyos sa iyo, no? So, sumampalataya kay Kristo at dahil sa Kanya, may kaligtasan. So, I hope that you learned something. Pasensya na kung minadali ko ang ating topic sa transgenderism. Philosophy naman tayo next time, no? Kung bakit may transgenderism, itatakil natin Jean-Jacques Rousseau, Derrida, many more. Kung bakit naging ganyan yung thinking. That's gonna be the part 2 para sa Pride Month na kinikalala ng mga tao ngayon. So, I think I can accommodate just 2 questions. Please, Kim, go ahead.
Hello. Thank you po, Kuya Jess. Napaka-informative po nung ating Bible class. Kunyari po, transgender ako. Kasi po, medyo sikat to ngayon sa Facebook. Yung sinasabing trans women are women. Ganyan. So, parang pagka nagde-defend ka, hindi, ika-cancel out ka nila. Ganyan. So, paano pag sinabi ko as transgender na I don't hurt anybody? Kasi ang pinakailaman ko naman katawan ko. So, ano naman sa'yo kung binago ko yung sexual organ ko? Ganyan. So, paano tayo sasagot sa ganun? I don't hurt anybody. Ganun.
Alright. I think that's a very interesting question, no? sasabihin ng, for example, ng identified as transgender, hindi naman tayo kailangan maging aggressor, no? Dapat may compassionate tayo sa kanila kasi nakikita natin na nagsasuffer sila sa impact ng fall, no? Kaya I don't advocate na always shaming yung attack, no? Kasi mas malalo silang maging stubborn sa ganyang approach, no? So, sa kanila, hindi siguro usually ang maganda na parang atakihin agad sila. I think mas prefer nga ako na personal na makausap mo. Explainan mo sila ng kung bakit may ganun kang karamdaman. Bakit na-experience mo itong mga ganito. Kasi I think ang makapag-provide lang talaga ng transgenderism is yung story ng fall eh. Yun lang yung makapagbigay, no? Pero yung sinabi mo, Kim, na na wala kang hinart. So, wag mo akong pakialaman, no? Bound tayo dito, light of the world tayo dito sa mundo Binigay tayo ng Diyos dito para yung ating liwanag ay pakarating sa kanila. So, may obligation tayo sa Diyos na pagsabihan sila sa katotohanan. If hindi sila papayag, hindi sila mag-accept, no? Their blood shall be upon them. Pero it does not detract us dapat, no? Na sabihan sila kung ano yung truth. Mag-share tayo ng gospel sa kanila in the most compassionate way possible. Sa tingin ko ganun siya, no? Hindi siya pwedeng ibaliwala lang na okay, mind your own business, bahala ka sa buhay mo. Sige, another question, please. May follow-up ka or what? Okay na. Any other question related sa transgenderism? One more? I think that should do it, no? Wala nang magtatanong. Okay, let's pray to the Lord. Our Father in heaven, Lord, maraming salamat, Panginoon, sa iyong kabutihan sa amin. Salamat sa aming Panginoong Jesucristo na nagligtas sa amin, nagbigay sa amin ng tunay na liwanag, Lord, nag-guide sa amin sa katotohanan. At salamat, Lord, na even sa culture namin na napakaraming mga rampant na yung homosexuality at ibang LGBTQ+ and transgenderism na mga ideology, Panginoon. Salamat na nagbigay ka pa din ng hope sa iyong bugtong na anak, aming Panginoong Jesucristo, na may pag-asa sila, Lord, na sila'y maligtas. Kaya, Lord, tulungan mo kami, gabayan mo kami, Panginoon, na may share namin yung katotohanan in a most compassionate way sa kanila. At nawa makita nila yung ebanghelyo at sila, Lord, ay ma-regenerate sila, ma-transform sila just as the people in Corinthians who were homosexuals before but were sanctified, were saved. Only in the gospel that we can find hope. Nawa makita ng lahat ng tao ang great purpose and meaning sa gender na pinagkaloob mo sa amin, Panginoon. At nawa i-prepare mo din ang aming puso't damdamin sa the rest of the day as we go to our proper worship for this Lord's Day. Thank you for your graciousness and your love in Jesus' name. Amen.